This is Cars on Holiday, the 2014 summer music compilation from... In this show, music from Paul Willer.
I wanna be in traffic.
A punk flashback from the Wranglers.
It's like entering a war zone when you race from the back of the pack.
Another 24 Hours by Funny Bone.
To go for another long distance race. To do another 24 hours.
Along with out-of-season seasonal pop folk from Gareth Jones on Speed and Sons.
Oh, why did they make Nigel Mansell Santa Claus? As decisions go, it all seems rather rash. Oh, I believe in many things at Christmas, but I don't believe that Santa has a mustache.
Plus, a brand new tune from Flanagan and Allan. That's Gareth Flanagan and Steve Allan.
We both wear a lid, the band feels on the grid. We're fighting over the land that we call Poland, not Poland. Oh, where were you all? Were you all there too? Standing in the trenches by the fences.
This is the 2014 Gareth Jones on Speed Summer Music Compilation. It's that time of the year we're all thinking about going on holidays. I thought we'd talk about the holidays that we had as kids in cars. Now, for me, if there was a zenith of that, it was driving to Spain in 1969 in a Ford Cortina estate. Richard, what typifies holidays as a kid in a car for you?
Being in the back of a car and it being incredibly hot because, of course,
We
cars
didn't have AC,
having
did we?
air conditioning. No, I was talking about the 80s. A normal family car didn't have air conditioning. That would have been mind-boggling. Yes. The thing is, even back then, and I don't think this happens so much now, you would go abroad for a holiday drive to somewhere in Europe, even just France, our nearest neighbour, and you would see cars you didn't see at home.
Yes.
And they would be tremendously exotic.
Oh, the Taunus, the Ford Taunus 17M.
Exactly.
I remember getting so excited. And the, what was it? The Simca 1307.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Chrysler 1307. Basically
Which
the
one
Alpine, the Chrysler Alpine. I remember seeing that in Europe and being very
Yes, it had
excited.
a different name.
Yeah. Ooh.
But then there was also those funny little rear-engine Simcas.
Yeah, the
Remember those?
1000.
Seems to be a lot of those in Spain and France.
Mike
Didn't have
Peters
them.
from The Alarm had one. We did our early touring days. on one of
Really?
those, yeah.
You really
Blimey,
saw them in the
really.
UK?
Yeah, it replaced the Imp, didn't it? Zog, as a kid, driving, holidays.
We didn't really have driving holidays as a kid. I have plenty of memories of sharing the car with inadequate food supplies. And, on a summer day, there's something very unappetising about a hard-boiled egg that's just been sitting in a box a little bit too long.
Yeah.
eggy.
A rather limp kind of sandwich.
The packed lunch.
And, yeah.
The packed lunch.
There was something else. When we used to go on holiday in Britain, you'd go to, I don't know, Norfolk or something, or Scotland or Wales, and my dad was weirdly obsessed with Little Chef, and he loved a Little Chef, and he would sort of always contrive it that we would be somehow passing a Little Chef around lunchtime, and he'd go, oh, there's a Little Chef, we're going there. Now, as kids...
What a surprise. A Little Chef. I wasn't expecting to see that.
Well, hello to you, sir, you microscopic gastronome. Let's go in there. My dad doesn't talk like that, but...
Did he like everything on the menu?
I
or
don't
was it
know.
just
I don't know.
selected
But the
bits
thing is, do you know sometimes I think when you're a kid, your parents present a unified front, and you believe that they are essentially sort of the same person. And of course, they're not. They were once individual people who you'd never even met. But there's a point where you think that your parents actually sort of share entirely the same beliefs and views about everything.
There's definitely some kind of sort of Borg deal going on.
And I
there,
thought
some
that my
sort of
parents both
hive
liked the
mind.
Little Chef.
Yeah.
And I thought that Dad was in the vanguard of this because he was driving usually and probably have memorised the map, and he used to take us to a Little Chef. And then eventually my mum broke rank and was like, I hate Little Chef. Why do we always go to Little Chef? I don't want to go to any more Little Chefs. If we have to eat somewhere, we could got to find a pub or something or a cafe. There's got to be somewhere else to eat. And my dad was like, No. We'll go to the Little Chef. Now, of course, me and my brother, we like the Little Chef because you got a lollipop at the end.
Of course.
And that tiny piece of bribery on the part of the Little Chef company was enough for us to side with my father, and my mum was almost ostracised,
Hester power.
made to stay in the car.
Did both your parents drive on family holidays?
Mostly my dad, but no, they would do a bit of shared driving.
Yeah.
Most notably, we went on holiday to North Wales once, and my dad sprained his ankle on the beach while we were hoofing a ball around or something. I can't remember.
Standard noise a bit treacherous.
There was
isn't it?
basically the tide was coming in, and we were sort of still splashing around in just where the water was lapping onto the sand. And I think some other kids had dug a big hole earlier in the day,
A man trap.
and then left him with the water just flowed in and covered it. And my dad, while he was going for an ambitious catch of a frisbee or a kick of a ball or something, just put his ankle into it.
And the consequence was your mum drove?
My mum had to go and get the car, and I remember this being a discussion. It's a good job that mum can drive, because a lot of, well, not a lot, but some of my friends' parents, their mums couldn't drive. I mean, I don't know, is that surprising or not? I'm always surprised by people who can't drive.
Yeah.
Grown-ups who have no other reason to not drive. I know it's expensive to learn, they've never wanted to, or they have a medical condition, they have epilepsy or something like that, prohibits them getting a licence without a lot of complicated paperwork and medicals. But if you're just an adult who could drive and you
Was
don't,
born- yeah.
I'm not saying he's a three-line whip, you have to get a car and go on holiday in it or something, but why don't you drive? Learn to drive!
My dad would never let my mother drive his car. She had her own car. Mum had an Imp or a Mini or a...
Can I just go back to something, because it's going to bother me for the
Go
rest
on.
of time?
Yeah.
That Simca didn't replace the Imp. The Sunbeam replaced the Imp. You said earlier on-
No. I think you will find that the Simca 1000 was brought in as the direct replacement for the Hillman Imp long before we had the Sunbeam.
I'll have you a 10 on that.
A tenner?
Yeah.
50.
I haven't, yeah, really.
50 quid.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, woof.
Yeah. That's how confident I am on my
Do you know what? I haven't got any cash on me either.
Look it up. I think you find I'm right, Mr. Pross.
Hang on, what are the parameters
We'll
here?
find out.
That it is widely recognised, probably on Wikipedia, that the Simca 1000 was the replacement for the rear-engined Imp, the similarly rear-engined Imp, when it was withdrawn from the UK sales. I think you find that's right. I'm very confident in
It's
this.
50 quid.
Yeah, 50.
I mean, I'm
50 quid.
yeah.
So, as you are,
To your
I'm the
favourite
witness and
charity.
adjudicator of
That's
this.
all right, I like
this
those
bet.
odds. Yeah, absolutely.
To
Yeah.
your favourite charity. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime,
I don't know why you're going to charity. I just take the money. Frank.
No, we haven't
No,
explained.
that's
My favourite charity is me. And my ability to drink wine.
I figure that's the basis. If you do these kind of bets, you do it because you're just proving how confident you are in your
Yeah, it's
in your
all
position.
showmanship. Anyway, shall we play some music?
yes, I was going to finish a thought before we
Oh,
did.
go on, sorry,
Just
yeah.
in that drive that I did, I was talking about the iconic drives. That iconic drive from Britain to Spain and back
Yeah.
that I did with my family in 1969 with my parents and my two sisters in a Ford Cortina Mark II estate full of camping equipment. But the only way we could get everything in the car, and full respect to Kenneth Gordon-Jones for this, he took the door panels off, and the stuff that we had, the inside line of the door panels, like the sandals and the swimming kit, or anything that was flattable, filled the gap between the outer metal panels and the inside of the car.
That's pretty good.
And,
That's quite ingenious.
and to cap it all, he even created a Speedo, a cardboard stick-on-your-dash Speedo, a sort of rhombus, I suppose, with kilometres on it, so we didn't break the law when we were driving in France. Beautiful.
Something inside me wants to live in the 60s and the 70s, when dual carriageways were mostly the way we got around. same. MP3s and leather, it's a shame. Oh, my decision's final. Why don't they bring back vinyl? Yeah. There are things I don't understand. Keeping cars off the road here in England. Metric systems pass by me. Leaders don't mean a thing to me. Here's one thing I've got my heart on. I wanna pay for my petrol by the gallon. Here's one thing I've got my heart on. I wanna pay my petrol by the gallon. I know this future age is fantastic, but just like Stevie Winwood, I wanna be in traffic. Gareth Jones on speed, cars on holiday.
In-car entertainment on holidays of the 1970s was very different to the luxury that my children enjoy when we go off in a car these days. They have their DS's, they have their phones, they have their DVD players in the back of the car, depending on what car we're going in. In-car entertainment for me in the 1970s on that trip to Valencia and back was Creepy magazine and comics, eerie and creepy comics, which my sister picked up in France. You couldn't buy them in Britain. They were sort of really...
They had good comic books in France.
Yeah, well, they were American
Luke.
comics. They were American comics.
And Asterix.
But they were banned in Britain because they were too scary for children. And my sister used to read these, or my older sister Mel would read these to me and Caris in the back seat of the car. It was fantastic. What did you do for in-car entertainment in the... It was the 80s, was it, for you?
Yeah, but before we got Walkmans, which even then, and your kids would howl with laughter at the thought of this, the idea that every time you wanted to switch albums,
Yeah.
at the very least you had to flip the tape over, which had auto-reverse.
Yeah.
But more likely you'd have to then pull out this sort of sideboard-sized box that contains all your tapes. You sort of have the travel tape thing, but then you could only get kind of 10 cassettes in it. Now, even if home taping was killing music, but we went on anyway, you put an album on each side of a C90.
We bought the album first, so it was okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. You're recording off top of the vinyl, off someone else's cassette. Oh, no, not off someone else's cassette, off your CD. Because that's the thing.
CDs?
I started buying CDs when I was sort of in the later 80s, and then you'd put them onto tape because I didn't have a CD Walkman.
CDs were things of science fiction when I was on holiday as a kid. Really?
But pre-Walkman, I remember very vividly a holiday in Denmark in about 1983 where my parents' Talbot Solara, which had a tape deck, and there was only one cassette in the whole car that was mutually acceptable to the whole family.
All the others had been thrown out the window in arguments. I mean, no, you have to have consensus.
Right, imagine this. So here's why. Both my parents quite like classical music, but then my dad liked a lot of Welsh hymn singing.
Good lad.
No, it's just so cold. It just sounds all that close harmony stuff.
Frightening
It
people.
lowers the temperature in any given situation by 4 degrees.
And you're already in Denmark.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
You're practically in Finland by the end of the first.
That fjord frozen over because Dad put the window down while he's bloody close harmony. Cause, no, it is. I mean, it's very. My dad gets all weepy-eyed, and I'm sure you do too. But I find it very sort of
dreary,
shivery kind of music.
It's not kids' music.
My mum liked Gilbert and Sullivan. It's
not Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Not Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Pirates of
in small doses.
Yeah, it's just irritating.
20 seconds at a time, it's fine. But
Now, I don't know what I was into at that point. My brother was 4 years younger than me, so he was probably still wanted the Muppet Show and stuff like that on. But I was trying to pretend I was more grown up than that. And so the only cassette
you wanted Fraggle Rock.
Yes, exactly. The Thinking Man's Muppet Show was the best of ABBA. Oh. So we drove around Denmark. So it was a bit of a driving holiday. We didn't stay in one place. We went to different places all across the country. And for 2 whole weeks, we just had ABBA, the best of ABBA, on a loop. Now, the Solara didn't have auto-reverse, so what would happen is the cassette, I think at that point, would come to an end, and then there would be a
Rewind.
ping. And it would, no, I think there would be a ping, and it would sort of eject itself.
And then you have to swap it over.
As a little reminder, and if it didn't happen, it'd be, Mum, turntable over. And that's the thing, I don't remember anyone complaining or going, let's just put the radio on for a bit. Let's see what the Danes have got to offer in radio for a change. It was just, okay.
If you're going to be stuck with one album, best
Well,
of
do you
ABBA's
know what?
pretty
It's
good,
the best
you know.
testament to the quality of ABBA's singing and songwriting that, to this day, I still absolutely love ABBA, and I would happily listen, and do listen to Best of ABBA,
Yeah.
without going, oh my God, I was treated to some kind of, like, Danish water torture with this album many years ago.
Steve Wright, the American comedian,
Yeah.
he
Yes.
tells his fantastic story about how he drove from New York to Los Angeles with a friend in a car. We only had one cassette tape with us. It was a C-45. We listened to it for every minute of that entire journey. And then you say to him, well, what was it? He says, I don't remember. I think he blanked it out of his mind.
I thought he was going to say the gag was something like, they were called Head Cleaner. And I think there was a band called Head Cleaner, wasn't there, at one point?
There will be now.
Santa's dead, fell off his sled, no time to grieve, it's Christmas Eve, they need someone to fill in, someone with a heavy boot, but their choice is rather strange, though he's fat enough to fill the zoo. Oh, why did they make Nigel Mansell Santa Claus? I can't believe that this will go to plan. Oh, I believe in many things at Christmas, but I don't believe Santa comes from Birmingham. In Adelaide, he's got it made. Gifts on their way, in a William sleigh. But then disaster strikes our night. Oh, how can this get worse? Sparks all over the roof. The reindeer burst. Why did they make Nigel Mansell Santa Claus? It comes across as completely the wrong choice. Oh, I like to hear so many things at Christmas, but I don't want to hear a moany, grubby voice. In Monaco, more tales of one, kids got no gifts, and it's the 26th Boxing Day. They say he did his best to get round on his sleigh, but at every single bend, the ghost of Santa was in the way. Oh, why did they make Nigel Mansell Santa Claus? As decisions go, it's really very crap. Oh, I want to see so many things at Christmas, but not Saint Nick in a branded sponsor's cap.
Hunt wasn't available. Chiltern had run out of cash. Kimmy's incomprehensible, and Grosjean would have crashed. So night became a Santa, and this a Yuletide farce. But I'm sure somewhere there's a chimney wide enough to fit his arse.
When he got it sorted and things were going well, oh no, his sleigh's been taken out by TV's Tiffany Dell.
Oh, why did they make Nigel Mansell Santa Claus? As decisions go, it all seems rather rash. Oh, I believe in many things at Christmas,
great joys of going on holidays. You get to drive cars or travel in cars that you perhaps might not have experienced in the UK. I remember being in Spain. We flew there with Monarch Airlines in 1970. I know you two weren't born, but I was already 9 years old. And there was this little Spanish rental shop. Oh no, it was Mallorca, 1970, Mallorca. And there was this Spanish little car rental shop, and the guy who ran the shop, he wasn't Italian. Why had an Italian accent? I don't know. He was Spanish. He kept saying to my father, I have a very good car for you. A very good car for you. And do you know what that very good car for you was? It was I nearly said Fiat, but not. A Seat 600, the slightly larger version of the 500, built under licence by Seat Automobili, wherever they were called in Spain. And so whenever I see any small Seat of the 1960s or 70s now, I cannot stop myself from saying a very good car for you.
Well, do you know what? The Seat seem to struggle to market their cars in this country with any conviction. That sort of autoemotion and stuff, and they never quite hit home. Why not just that?
That's a new...
Get a man or one of his
slogan.
ancestors to go, Seat.
A very good car.
Why not?
It would sell in my family.
Direct, yeah.
My entire family.
We had, as a family, a hire car incident in Mallorca.
Oh, hello.
Early 80s again. Mark I Fiesta. And...
Spanish-built car.
See, it's funny, yes.
Valencia.
But I think now, if a family of four went away... 2 small kids and the parents, you'd sort of go, oh, we must have a large car, we must have an estate car. Or,
a Hummer.
Yes, exactly. Whereas, I don't know what it was, everything was smaller back then, including all the gubbins that children took with them. And my parents just went, we'll have a Super Mini.
And it was commodious.
I suppose it was, yeah. And like a tiny house. Anyway, off we went in a Mark I Fiesta. We were driving around the island one day, and my dad, in that dad kind of authoritative way, went, clutches on the way out. We were like, what? And then you went to change gear again. There was an awful graunch, and you went, the clutch is gone.
Wow.
So we pulled to the side of the road. Thankfully, there was a phone box. Went and called, and then in a sort of, do you speak English kind of way,
shouting to make himself understood.
My dad managed to get the hire car people, and they said, okay, and worked out where we were, and they went, we'll bring you another car, no problem. And so we sat there by this sort of blue Fiesta that now had a broken clutch. And,
was it sky blue?
Very light blue.
I know the
Ford. It's weird how you
blue.
Remember this, but I do remember this. And then, over sort of the brow of a hill, I might be making this up, but in my head it was over the brow of a hill, at great speed, a brown Fiesta came charging into view.
Oh, 1300 perhaps.
That detail I don't know.
I think the brown colour...
I can ask my dad when I see him.
I think Ford called it tawny, that colour.
Well, yes, but that's British market, maybe the Spanish market.
Oh, yeah.
It screeched to a halt.
Yep.
And the guy... got out and he goes, I was like, no, whatever. I was making my dad sound like a retired colonel. He doesn't sound anything like this at all. You've met my dad, in fact. He doesn't talk like that.
He doesn't talk like that.
But for the purpose of this story, he does. And he went, now, look here. And he didn't. We transferred all our stuff into the new Fiesta, and then my dad went, no, clutch has gone. Look, and sort of showing clutch. No, it's morte, clutch, no. It's fine. Spanish guy, no, clutch thing, you can't exchange gear. No, it's okay. Spanish bloke turned it on and then just let it roll a little bit down this incline and then just sort of slammed it cautiously. And then off he disappeared again over another brow of a hill in my mind in a cloud of dust with this sort of that was the last we saw of him. We just stood there going,
driving as people did in those days in that country, I would imagine.
Probably
rather crudely,
with vigour and no clutch.
Did you go on British holidays and so on? Was that your...
No, we went abroad, but we didn't hire a car. The driving wasn't a big part of the holiday.
Right.
I just don't have strong childhood memories of long motoring trips.
Maybe they've been erased from your mind because they were traumatic in those days, weren't they? Really?
Well,
really?
It can't be that traumatic, just be rolling around in the back of the car with no responsibility, with, summer holidays.
Stuck to the vinyl seats.
A couple of years ago, I'd gone to Italy with my then girlfriend for a friend's wedding, and what we picked up, it was a Fiat Punto. And I was slightly disappointed that it was the Punto, actually, because I recall there were actually a few more Lancias around at the time, and I quite fancied driving a Lancia. So I arranged one with a hire company, but actually when we got there, they'd run out of whatever the tiny Lancia was there at the time, so I had to take the Punto instead, which was fine. It was an okay car, perfectly serviceable. But I do remember that on the trip heading back to the airport, as time was slipping away, this Punto got faster and faster and faster. And I was quite impressed that, the last 20 minutes of the journey, I had my foot flat to the floor the whole time and just fingers crossed that there weren't going to be any police around, because we just did a quick crunch on the numbers and there was no way we were going to get to the airport without driving absolutely flat out.
Yeah.
And, to be fair to the little thing, it put up with it, streaked along the...
Italian car.
Yeah.
Italian cars always feel happier in Italy for some reason.
It's true.
Yeah, and being hustled along a bit, and it was...
Best rental car
and we made the flight.
I ever had on a holiday. You're going to go, oh, when you hear this. Can you guess what it was? I was in Barbados. What was the rental car?
Mini Moke.
Correct! Boom! I had a white Mini Moke. I felt like Roger McGoon, really.
Patrick McGoon.
Yeah, and him. Most disappointing holiday rental car ever. Fiat Panda in Greece. It was just so very, very used, this car, that when I got hold of it, there wasn't much of a car left, really. It was the ghost of a car. Rental cars can be horrible, but they can be good as well.
We went on a holiday to Spain once as a family, and we had to stay at Marbella with a fold-back canvas roof.
Yeah.
But again, a car that had lived a life. the rubber strap that sort of, you remember, because it was a Panda, really.
Yeah.
Spanish-made Panda. The canvas roof on those Pandas, it was a funny folding mechanism. It sort of, the front section folded back and the back section folded forward. And there were sort of rubber straps that held it in place. Rubber strap on the back section, gone. Crudely bent piece of wire in its place. We parked up one day, closed the roof, went to have some lunch or something, came back, opened the roof up again. In the process, the wire that held the back section dropped out, fell onto the back seat. And I went, the wire's dropped down, leant into the car, went like that, and the wire punctured my underside of my wrist because it was on the back seat. Wow. And I just sort of lifted my arm and went, there's a wire poking out of my wrist, and it hurts. I was about 10, I think. See, my mum was a physio, so fortunately she was kind of like, she knew what to do, whatever.
Have you still got a scar?
No, do you know what? I can't even remember which wrist it was, but no, it was only quite a small one. It was basically like
I was talking about in your memory, in your mind.
Yeah. Well, now I think back to it, I have. There were two things I remember about that car. First of all, that it attempted to slash my wrist, and secondly, that clearly the performance available from the Seat Marbet would cause anyone to want to slash their wrist, because at one point, my dad, with 2 adults and 2 children in it, went for a sort of ambitious uphill overtake on the way to, I think, a town called Cadiz.
Beautiful Cadiz, beautiful.
And then a lorry hoved into view coming downhill. Now, a lorry coming downhill is going to be faster than a wheezy, rubbish Panda knockoff going uphill with 4 people in it. And there was a very hairy moment. Your mum never did this to your dad, but when your mum uses the sort of urgent tone of voice, my dad's called Phil, and I just remember my mum going, Phil? In that sort of, I think you need to do something now instead of maintaining the current course of action, which is certain death. And then, one final thing, we got to Cadiz and there was a test team from Austin Rover in town, driving around in some Rover 800s, which weren't secret at that point, but maybe they were testing the upgraded 2.7 litre engine or something. But yeah, there's sort of 3 Rover 800s with all test gear strapped to dashboards. The most exciting thing during the holiday for me. The rest of my family not interested because they're normal people, but I thought that was fantastic as a sort of 10, 11-year-old.
That would be absolutely.
In fact, I can date this. Do you know what? This was 1987. I was 12 because the Rover 800 came out in 86. I'm going to go now.
No, I was just sharing in that moment with you there. Okay, here's another one for a car nut. When I first passed my driving test, I got a Californian driving licence long before I had a UK driving licence. And the first car I ever rented in the States, because I was out there on holiday visiting some friends, was a Pontiac Bonneville convertible in Los Angeles, which I rented from Rent-A-Rex. Remember Rent-A-Rex?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I drove it from LA, from Hollywood, down to Santa Barbara and back, and it overheated twice on the way down and once on the way back fatally. Well, actually, we limped into a garage, and that wonderful sort of American retro intermediate technology where they go, yeah, don't worry about it, just put a pipe on there. They're all standard bits, you know, GM, and they fixed it and we were on our way again. Otherwise, we were sitting by the side of the road for 45 minutes to cool down. But that was great. I went with my mate Graham and Carla and the Bonneville convertible, the classic bench seat. The 3 of us sat in the front, no one in the back. Now, that's the joy of holidays. You can feel like $1 billion, even in a car which costs, $30 a day to rent. That's what it was.
I went once to Orlando. Me and 2 mates from school, we went to Orlando late 90s because another mate of ours had taken a job over there for the summer working in a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And we went over to surprise him. We got an incredibly cheap fly drive deal to Orlando, Manchester to Orlando. It was like 150 quid or something, which even back then, that was pretty stupidly cheap for what we were getting. Flights, car at the other end. We were the last people off the plane pretty much for some reason, and we were supposed to get a neon. They'd run out, and the guy at the rental desk went, "Have I got a deal for you?"
Uh-oh.
And for an extra sort of $20 or something, like all in, not $20 a day, just a ridiculous amount, we got a Chrysler Sebring convertible.
Oh,
and again, we thought we were $1 trillion.
I had one of those in Florida once as well.
I've rented one again subsequently in Florida when I did the Keys and Miami and stuff.
I was worried for you for a moment there, Richard. I was convinced he was going to say, "Have I got a deal for you? It's the Yugo.
Yes.
The 45. You'll love it. It's economical."
Did they sell any Yugos in the States?
Yeah. Oh, huge.
Yeah, really?
Especially in Canada. But that's another story.
It's the day again, and I think I missed some racing. I was drinking rain. Can I ask you for some aspirin and a bottle of coke and some WD-40 for my knee? racing through the night, the one that we call 24 hours. No, I don't think I've got the strength or the endurance or the powers to go for another long distance race, to do another 24 hours. The clock's still ticking, and I feel like throwing up. I feel like sicking of my guts. I knew I shouldn't have had that last 4 pints of stout. Now the ability to read the race has left me. I should have left it there. Now just drinking in the air is making me nauseous again. Now I've got to make it to the main grandstand again, to catch the end of this epic giant race. Yes, I don't think I've got the strength or endurance or the powers to go for another long distance race, to do another 24 hours on the edge.
Gareth goes on speed, cars on holiday!
My good friend Zog here has developed a skill over the years which I remember you demonstrated when you drove down to join me on a holiday in Dorset just a few years ago, effectively using your Porsche as a kitchen, or at least an oven.
Yeah, this was 2 or 3 years ago. The big camping do
for my 50th
near
birthday.
Corfe Castle.
It was near Corfe Castle.
Yeah, I was just reviving a technique that I've messed about with a little bit before when a friend gave me a book magnificently called Manifold Destiny, which is the ultimate guide to cooking under your car bonnet. Now, I thoroughly recommend this to anybody who's not too worried about making their engine bay smell a little bit of food. As long as you're not too worried about that, give this a try.
This is while you're driving, you're talking
This is
about.
while you're driving.
Yeah.
If you think about it, your engine bay, there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of hot stuff down there. There are a lot of nooks and crannies and places where you can stuff a parcel of food of some kind. And, you leave it there for half an hour, it's going to cook. And if you've got a nice little sort of spot over the exhaust manifold, for example, you can cook yourself a surprisingly substantial meal. And on this occasion, I picked up some ingredients just before I left. It was going to be an hour and a half or something getting to the campsite. Picked up some ingredients and I made up a couple of salmon parcels. So I've got some aluminium foil, a couple of salmon steaks, and then just sort of wrap the salmon steaks up in your classic foil parcel with a bit of white wine, a bit of lemon, I think, bit of garlic and a bit of pepper in there. No, I don't think it was...
And a bit of Duckham's 2040,
strictly in the engine. and just do it up
I find
securely.
sometimes when you cook salmon like
double
that in the
wrap
oven,
it.
it can be a bit moist, but a bit of WD-40 would just
Yeah, it certainly
get all that
lubricates
water away
it.
from
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Exactly, there you go, perfect. Plus, lovely aromatic flavour. You want to double wrap it just in case, and then I think when I was sort of 45 minutes away from
Just
the
in
campsite,
case what, sir?
they're going to jiggle a little bit inside the engine bay.
Right.
You know, they might catch on something. You just want to minimise the chances of the whole packet bursting open
Or bursting
and,
into flames,
flavour.
causing an electrical short.
Well, no electrical problem. I'm not worried about that, but it's just
A great lump of metal under your bonnet, a bit of tin foil. That's a risk, isn't it?
Do you think there's not any metal under there already?
Yeah, but loose metal causing shorts.
Just out of interest, where are you putting the
Insulation.
parcels, Mark?
Literally, they were resting kind of in between the exhaust manifold and the inside of the wing. So
Okay.
basically, nestled in the V shape formed by exhaust manifold going down and converging with inside of wing. I took this recipe straight out of there. There are a bunch of other recipes, but they're all variations on making some sort of packet of food with some kind of liquid component and sticking it in the engine bay, leaving it for long enough to stew in its own juices, take it out when you get to your
You should
destination.
say stew,
And
because I'm wondering if you could use the sort of
Steam,
slow cooker
steam,
effect.
really, I'm thinking,
if
you could do-
had a suitable container, you could put some meat and carrots and potatoes and,
Yeah, I mean,
and just make a stew.
Although if you well,
Casserole, food of the future.
okay, I'm not
Soup,
Okay,
pretty much.
here's what I'm not too sure about the actual casserole stew idea. Is that I think if you're going to do a casserole, you need to have a fair volume of liquid sort of flopping around there. You know.
I've had another thought, though, a genuine one, this one, which is just a can of soup, can of normal soup. If you left it in there for long enough, and
It
as
would
long as you
explode.
had some...
It would, yeah.
Would it explode, do you think?
Well, it'd be
Yeah.
the same
It
thing.
would expand.
Well, no.
you could make
depends
banoffee
how hot-
pie,
depends how hot
because
you
you
make
could
You
put
can make great banoffee pudding.
Yeah,
smoke in there, and then you'd be sort of halfway to the banoffee pie.
And actually, having said it would explode, I don't think it would, because a can of soup would explode if you put it in a fire or something like that,
Yeah.
when it gets really, really hot. But if you're just putting it next to your exhaust manifold, it probably wouldn't get hot enough to explode, but you would want to take quite a bit of care when you pierce it for the first time when you're trying to open it, because you're going to get a fountain of soup out of the top of it.
Maybe I want a fountain of soup.
You don't want
I've
to
always dreamt of having a fountain of soup.
I love the idea of cooking instructions. It has to prepare your dish. Prepare all the ingredients, and then don't say put in the oven at gas mark 6 for 4 hours. It's put in the engine bay at 70 mile per hour for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's how the recipes in Manifold
know.
Destiny go. So, yeah, they are.
Because also, you know, if you're doing microwave stuff, it always says, depending on 700, 800, 900 watt microwave, but this should be 4, 6 or 8 cylinder engine, and then adjust the times correctly.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 600 engine.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You've been listening to Gareth Jones on Speed 2014 Summer Holiday Car Special. If you're out there cooking food under your bonnet, do it carefully. Please read up on the safety advice first, and let us know how you're getting on cooking food while you're driving. And if you're driving something exotic this summer, enjoy that too. He's been Richard.
Goodbye.
He's been Zog.
Goodbye.
And I was Gareth. See you when we get back from our holidays. Peace is something we used to take for granted. The Mercedes was good,
And so was Hamilton's hair.
we shared a lot.
The car,
the team,
the daytime. And now it's turned into a bloody mare. Oh, everything was splendid, hunky-dory. We led the pack together,
a bit of a bore.
but it all went wrong.
And we had to write this song
About the day that Lewis and Nico went
to war. Where were you? Were you there too? Standing in the trenches by the fences. I was there for sure, the day they went to war. Has everybody lost their bloody senses? I hear your papa got you into this.
Yeah, and so did your dad.
How's your father, right or wrong? Come on, sing this song. Which way are you facing? Day or night, a black or white? This isn't a war about race, it's all about racing. Isn't it grand? We fight over land.
Just to prove that one of us is in control.
We
both wear a lid. The Banfields on the grid. We're fighting over the land that we call Poland, not Poland. Oh, where were you? Were you there too? Standing in the trenches by the fences. I was there for sure, the day they went to war, as everybody lost their bloody senses. Lewis Hamilton,
Nico Rosberg.
This battle's not a new one, it's an old one. It's become a bit of a lark, a jolly good spree. Scraps and scrapes, never escapes. England and Germany bloody near.
But motorsport unites us, not divides us, friends will collide. Are we having a laugh or are we being serious? Let's not forget the lads and lasses lost and
Both our sides.
where were you? Were you there too? Standing in the trenches by the fences. I was there for sure, the day they went to war, as everybody lost their bloody senses. As everybody lost their bloody senses.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!